I'll be reading from the Grown Woman Commandments. The author is me, Leslie Andrews, and this is the introduction. You are a woman. You've got to be strong. This one sentence, often used to compel a woman to act within the dictates of society, has been responsible for countless unspoken heartaches and quiet tragedies as every generation since the start of the Age of Enlightenment has built up layers of expectations for womanhood. You're a woman. You shouldn't act that way. Come on, you're a woman. You should know better. These hugely unfair expectations that have created women who are too afraid to be themselves and pursue what they want. The consequence of this, I have discovered, is a massive loss of identity that can be observed amongst many women in the world today. And while I hesitate to add my voice to the bandwagon that keeps clamoring for change without creating a real plan to effect this evolution, I must say that I am empathetic to the course of all women out there. After all, I am a woman too. I know the struggles we face daily and sometimes hourly just to break the mold that has been cast by previous generations. And because I have moved up in my career and now possess a voice that has some level of influence, I've decided to share lessons that I have learned in my ascent through life and career. These lessons, though learned in the harshest of ways, have been compiled into 10 simple tips, which I call commandments. Each commandment, if implemented, will spark a revolution in the heart of the reader. I remember realizing that I'd been living someone else's dream. I was sitting in my high-rise office, fully aware that I had achieved everything society had advertised as markers of success, and yet I still felt suffocated by the expectations that had driven me there. It was a turning point that made me realize that I had to speak to the toxic myth that prioritizing societal expectations and every other person's happiness, except your own, was the way to success and fulfillment. However, breaking free from what society presents as truth takes courage and sufficient knowledge. In Grown Woman Commandments, I'm providing a blueprint that shows you how to dismantle these expectations and build a life that reflects your values, passions, and uniqueness to become the woman you are meant to be. Growing up, I always felt like I was operating under a different set of rules. I was a smart kid who tested out of high school at 12 years old, and one who had endless amounts of questions. However, my mother decided to keep me in school with my peers instead of accelerating my education because she was afraid that I would become socially isolated. I understand now that she was trying to protect me, but at the time I felt like I was being held back. However, as I started to navigate the world independently, I came to understand why she made that decision. I realized that society often fails to recognize and support gifted individuals. I realized that society often fails to Instead of being celebrated, it often felt like a burden. Teachers were focused on helping my classmates catch up instead of challenging me to reach my full potential. And I had to learn early on to adapt, to play by the rules, and to fit in. But playing by the rules didn't bring me happiness that I thought it would. I checked all the boxes. I graduated from high school. I went to college. I got a good job and climbed the corporate ladder. Yet I still felt unfulfilled. That's when I realized I had been living someone else's dream, not mine. I had been so focused on making others happy that I truly forgot what made me happy. This is a story of many women today. We're socialized to prioritize others' needs over our own, to put our dreams on hold, and to sacrifice our happiness for the sake of others. But what happens when we finally realize that we've been living a lie? What happens when we reach the pinnacle and realize it's not what we thought it would be? It's a painful realization that our efforts, sacrifices, and conformity do not guarantee the outcome we desire. Research on psychological impact of societal expectations on women's personal choices found that the pressure on women to meet these standards, whether beauty standards, gender roles, traditional expectations, always lead to stress, anxiety, and challenges in emotional regulation. Personally, I experienced this firsthand when I hit rock bottom and I realized I needed to make a change. I needed to stop playing by the rules and start living for myself. For me, my difference is in my curiosity and impatience. While these traits are seen as dangerous, especially when they threaten the status quo, I've learned to honor these traits rather than suppress them. I've learned so much about what it takes to truly be a grown, fulfilled woman, satisfied in her skin. And I am writing to you who, like many women, play by the rules, seeking validation and happiness. You've checked all the boxes, or at least what you're working towards, education, career, and relationships. But you keep finding that they are empty and do not provide the fulfillment you were promised. You're exhausted from trying to fit into the norms rather than embracing who you really are, and I understand that. We live in a world that often fails to celebrate women's achievements. Instead, the focus is on our shortcomings. However, when we acknowledge the facade of societal expectations, we begin to break free without feeling guilty. The truth is, our purpose is to engage with the world authentically as ourselves. But we spend our lives trying to conform only to discover later, too late, that the box was never meant for us. An experience from my childhood drives this point home. I had a teacher who insisted that I hold my pen a certain way, but I later discovered that it wasn't about penmanship, but it was about control. She wanted me to write the way she wanted me to write. At home with my family, I held my pen however I wanted. But in class, I agreed to the teacher's preference, which was unconsciously born from the fact that she thought that that's just how the way it should be. That moment taught me a valuable lesson. Those in power often prioritize their preferences over our individuality. We must choose between conforming and being true to ourselves. But here's the thing. We can play the game and still maintain our essence. We can do what they want and still learn to serve our own authenticity and uphold our values. We are not alone in this struggle. Countless women wear masks, concealing their fears, doubts, and desires. We're afraid to reveal our authentic selves, fearing judgment, rejection, and abandonment. However, we must shed this facade. We must learn that it is okay to embrace our imperfections and let go of the need for validation, because our worth is not tied to external approval, but to self-acceptance. Some of the ways that society has taught us to conform include the following. The beauty standard. We're sold an unattainable ideal of beauty. The caregiver role. Women are expected to prioritize others' needs, sacrificing our own desires and aspirations. But how far do we take this? Do we forget to nurture ourselves because we become so caught up in nurturing everybody else? The corporate ladder. We're encouraged to climb, but at what cost? Is it worth the sacrificing of our well-being? These expectations are insidious, seeping into our psyche and dictating our choices. But what if we reject them? What if we create our own definition of success, beauty, and fulfillment? I will address these questions in the chapters of this book. The Grown Woman Commandments offers a strategy for the journey of self-fulfillment. It shows women who are struggling to find their place in the world. They are not foolish for wanting a way that is different and from what is presented as perfect. I've learned the hard lessons of self-awareness and acceptance. It taught me that even though the world is wary of people who are different, it is not a sin to be different. And it is possible to find your rhythm in a world where everyone seems to dance to the same tune. It's okay to be different, to challenge norms. I want you to know you are not alone. Your feelings are valid. It's time to prioritize your own happiness and your own growth as women. It's time. It's time to redefine what success means to us and create our own commandments. The Grown Woman Commandments is not about rebellion. They're about self-discovery, empowerment, and authenticity. Throughout this book, we will honor intuition and curiosity and individuality. I'll share my story and stories of other women who have struggled to find their voices. We'll explore societal constructs that hold us back, biases we've internalized, the lies we've been told. We'll also explore what it means to be a grown woman unapologetically. We'll discuss how to break free from the expectations of others, how to find our own happiness, how to live a life that truly reflects our values. We'll break down how a grown woman handles money, friends, families, and mentors, how she pours into the society by giving back. The goal is to be whole. And we will begin that journey by knowing we deserve all we want. Your experience, feelings, and desires matter. It's time to shatter the illusions of perfection and embrace our true selves. It's time to wake up, take control, and live the life you truly desire.
Girl, I can't wait to read my book. Ashe, ashe, ashe.